Cinemate Hook, 0 o'clock to 1:30. This movie is not about demons. It's not about possession, and it's definitely not about a haunted house. This is a story about trauma, about suppressed memories, and about what happens when the human mind can no longer separate reality from fear. Today we re-breaking down Sacrilege, a psychological horror film that tricks you into believing something supernatural is happening until you realize the real horror was inside her all along. Stay with me until the end, because once we break down the final scene, you'll understand this movie in a completely different way. Introduction y setup, la 1:30, las 4. The film follows 4 lifelong friends who reunite in the remote British countryside to celebrate a birthday. They rent a quiet house in the woods, no neighbors, no distractions. Hus nature. At first, everything feels lighthearted. They drink, they lug, they reconnect. But from the beginning, there's tension, especially around Jessica. Jessica feels different from the others, more withdrawn, more anxious, less stable. And the film subtly shows us that something is already wrong before the horror even begins. Jessica's psychological state, las 4, las 7. Jessica is the emotional center of the story. She struggles with anxiety. She has a fragile mental state, and we learn she had a deeply religious upbringing. An upbringing filled with guilt and fear. Throughout the early scenes, we notice she reacts strongly to religious jokes. She seems uncomfortable when people talk about the past. She isolates herself emotionally. These are not random character traits. They are clues. The movie quietly builds psychological groundwork before the chaos starts. The drug decision. The true turning point. 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock one night. The group decides to take psychedelic mushrooms. This decision changes everything. It's important to understand the horror doesn't begin randomly. It begins after this choice. Once Jessica consumes the drugs, her perception starts to distort. She sees a masked, pagan-like figure watching her from the trees. At first, we assume it's just a hallucination. But the movie cleverly blurs the line. The forest feels darker. The air feels heavier. Jessica becomes terrified, and she runs, alone, into the woods. This is where the psychological horror truly begins. Descent into paranoia. Las 10:01. Las 4. Jessica's hallucinations intensify. She believes her friends are acting strangely. She thinks they are plotting something. She sees symbols carved into wood. She hears chanting. She imagines ritualistic behavior. But here's the genius of the film. We only see these events from her perspective. When the camera shifts to her friends, they look confused, concerned, afraid of her. The movie traps us inside Jessica's mind, and slowly we start questioning everything. Is there really a cult? Or is Jessica unraveling? The trauma reveal 14 o'clock to 18 o'clock. The most important revelation is Jessica's childhood. She was raised in extreme religious fear. Punishment, judgment, shame. The masked figure she sees, it represents religious trauma. The chanting, her subconscious memories. The ritual, her mind reconstructing childhood fear into adult paranoia. The drugs didn't create evil. They unlocked suppressed trauma. And once that door opens, it cannot be closed. Complete mental breakdown, 18 o'clock to 21 o'clock. Jessica completely loses touch with reality. She lashes out violently. She accuses her friends of betrayal. She believes she must stop the ritual. But there was never a ritual. Her friends try to calm her, but from her perspective, they look threatening. This misunderstanding leads to tragedy. The horror here isn't supernatural. It's miscommunication driven by mental collapse, and that's what makes it realistic and terrifying. Ending explained 21 o'clock to 23 o'clock. By the final act, Jessica is fully consumed by delusion. The violence that occurs is the result of untreated trauma, plus drugs, plus isolation. The final scenes show emotional devastation rather than shock horror. There is no demon reveal, no final jump scare, just the tragic aftermath of psychological collapse. Many viewers misunderstood this film as supernatural horror, but it is actually about mental health, religious trauma, The danger of psychedelics, an unstable mind's masked entity, was never real. It was a manifestation of fear. Final verdict and analysis, 23 o'clock to 24:30. Is Sacrilege scary? Not in a traditional way. But psychologically, absolutely. Absolutely. Horror level, 6.5. 10 psychological depth. 8.5 DS. It's a slow burn, it requires patience. But if you understand what it's really about, it hits harder. Because this kind of horror can actually happen. Extended cinematic outro, 24:30 to 25 minutes and 30 seconds. Horror doesn't always come from demons. Sometimes it comes from memory, from guilt, from wounds that never healed. And Sacrilege reminds us the most dangerous monster is the human mind under pressure. If you enjoyed this deep breakdown, subscribe for more psychological horror explanations, because next time we're diving into a story that's even darker. And trust me, you won't see it coming.